So how many days can you go without plugging into shore power? We're going to talk about that today. Stay tuned. Hey, Go Small, Live Large viewers. Thanks for tuning in today to another Pier 3 Tuesday. So today is currently Tuesday afternoon. I arrived into New Orleans from Baton Rouge early Friday morning with a full state of charge. That was back on Friday. So that was the 12th. You guys can see that. So that was on the 12th. And again, this is currently Tuesday afternoon. While I've been in New Orleans, we have not been plugged into shore power at all. And I did an on-demand charge for an hour once. And the reason for that is that the heat draw from urban camping on Sunday evening was needed. The heat was needed, so I needed to, and actually depletes the battery about the same as air conditioning. We're going to do a separate video on that. But today what I wanted to show you is managing the inverter helps you extend the battery life without doing charge on demand, drive to charge, or plugging into shore power. So I want to cover that with you today in a little bit of detail. So let's look at the gauge quick. So this is the gauge as it currently is. This is at 40% state of charge. I typically don't want to get it below 30, and so what I'm probably going to do is actually do a charge on demand, just to put a little juice in, because I'm probably not going to be plugged into shore power tonight. Now, how you manage the inverter, you want to manage the inverter if you're trying to extend the amount of charge, if you're not going to be plugged in to shore power and are not driving very much. So again, the inverter is off now, and to turn it on, I simply turn it on, and now I have, watch this will change, now I have 30 amp service in the coach. But when I'm not needing 30 amp service, so to charge my iPad, phones, and laptop, and I don't need the microwave, don't need 110 electricity, I turn that off to preserve the amount of energy stored in the battery. And what I love about this port here is that it's DC, and this will actually charge my iPhone. So currently not plugged in, watch this. So charged. So I can charge a USB device from 12 volt, which is really, really great. So again, I don't need the 110, so I turn this off. That's off, and now this has gone to 30 amp service, none. So the bottom line here is that by managing the inverter and managing the amount of state of charge in the lithium battery, I can go for days without plugging in. What I want to do is actually put an hour's worth of charge in the battery right now, because I'm going to be stationary for a while, and in the coach. So so let's initiate a charge on demand using stealth mode. So let's start that now. Okay, so you remember the steps, right? There's a few steps. Step number 1 is to set the handbrake. Step number 2 is to put the key into the accessory, into the ignition, and turn just to the accessory so the dashboard comes on, but do not turn on the engine. Like that. Third step is to press the silver button until it turns red. This is now stealth mode, and the dashboard will die here in a few seconds. And the next step is to remove the key from the ignition. Okay? And then the last step to initiate a charge on demand is to press the silver button. You can see it's still armed from initiating the stealth sequence. I'm now going to push this 3 times, and the chassis engine will start. So 1, 2, 3. And you can see that the engine has started, and that's going to go into high idle mode right here. There you can see that going. And as we know on charge on demand sessions, it runs for an hour or until the engine gets to a certain heat temperature, or until it gets to a full charge, which it won't do in this case because we're too far down. So again, let's just monitor the charge here. So we're about 41% currently. So we'll let that run for an hour. So the net takeaway from this is that by managing your inverter and by managing your state of charge, your 12 volt appliances, lights, will function just fine for many, many days. Again, got here with a full charge on Friday. I've driven around probably a total of maybe 2 hours, probably an hour and a half over the last few days. So really haven't been driving a whole lot. Nonetheless, I still have that amount. And the 12 volt's really important for the fridge, for the freezer, for lights. It will power the stereo, 12 volt. So you can do just about everything except run heat, air conditioning, and 110 volt appliances. I can even charge my iPhone off of this, and if the which is really fantastic. So again, just a really lovely system that allows the maximum flexibility and tremendous amounts of power when I need it. And when I need the big system turned on, I simply hit one button and it turns on. All right, quick update on the charge on demand from the chassis. The session just ended, and we are now at 60%. So it went from 40 to 60% in a single hour. So I hope you got a little bit out of that. Really appreciate you joining in today. I just love Pier 3 Tuesdays. I just love the whole van life thing. Kyle's with me, and we got some content coming up about that. He urban camped with me on the street in New Orleans, French Quarter, the other night, and it was quite an experience for us all. More to come on that. So until we meet again, I will wish you to journey on. Oh yeah, a couple more things. Lots of comments on the traditional versus lithium batteries. Got lots of answers and responses to that coming up very soon. And a lot of feedback on my tank dumping, primarily around the Santee flush. Some really good comments. I'm an expert on this whole thing by no means. We're learning together. I'm going to kind of update that dump tank and Santee flush, and in particular, the best practice here is to use a separate hose for your Santee flush for the small chance there might be some backup into your primary drinking water hose. Don't want to do that, so I've already purchased the new hose. Really appreciate all the concerns and comments around that. So you guys and gals, again, just continue to amaze me as an audience, and I just really appreciate each and every one of you. It's really just so heartwarming, the concern and the advice, and so I'm just sharing the advice. So watch for an update in the wording of that video I already posted, and then we'll do a separate update on just the Santee flush video on that separately. So please like. That's giving it a thumb up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Comment. I answer viewer questions every Friday, and I'm a little behind on getting the next travel video put up, and that should be up in the next day or two, and that's going to be St. Augustine, Florida, and another interview. And speaking of interviews, I had an amazing audience angel, Cheryl Charming, has been a gracious host here in New Orleans. We had a great interview yesterday, coming up in a couple weeks, but just loving this whole thing. So with that, again, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thanks for being patient with me. It's a learning journey for all of us. I am very teachable these days, so I am humbled by your I'm humbled to have you as part of the audience. So cheers for now.